Hey, what's up, YouTube and Triple T members? Jeremy Barber here, owner of Trade in the Trend chat room on Discord. There is a link in the video description. It is free to come check us out. So it's Sunday, another week's about to start, and Sunday's my work day. It's a time for me to get a list together of some stocks, chart out some support and resistance lines, look up some news events, see what's going on, and have my eyes set on maybe 15 to 20 tickers that could be potential plays. So I'm going to make that list live right now. First, I wanted to show you the results from last week's watch list. It was a pretty solid week. There was multiple 100% winners and quite a few that gave more than 10%. And anytime you can take more than 10%, that's a huge win. So here's the results from that list. All right, so as you saw, there were quite a few big winners. We're going to try to come up with a list this week that'll provide some similar results. Hopefully you can find some plays that you can take advantage of this week. Okay, so I'm going to start with my normal end of day scan. Okay, so as you can see, we only have 7 pages of results on my end of day scan. That's extremely low. That tells me that volume on Friday there was not much volume. I'm usually around 15 to 20 on an average day, up to maybe 25, 30 on days where there's super heavy volume, but to have only 7 pages of results that's super low. So typically I would move this up to maybe over 2 or 3 to narrow down the field, but with as few results as I have, I'm going to go ahead and just stick with this over 1 on the relative volume. So I'd mentioned this one on Friday as a potential play. You can see it ended up selling off. Doesn't look real good, but it did have over 1.5 on the relative volume. Indicators don't really see much, other than that run up and sell off. There's really not much there. Okay, so you can see we've got this triangle right here, support around 675 from the candlestick 620 area. We've got this downsloping resistance line right here, currently around 815 area. It ran right into it on Friday, pulled back to close. So this is one I would like to see close over this top purple line, or even break over this 830 area right here over the high or the close on this candlestick. So this is definitely something that you can see the huge volume. Indicators pointing up. Looks like we could be about to get across on the MACD lines. We are up above the 0 line. Stochastics look like it's heading for a cross. So if all those cross and break over this resistance, this could definitely be good play. Pretty small float, 23 million. Average volume 200,000. That's pretty light. That's gonna take it off the watch list. Not to say that there's not possible money to be made there, but you can also get stuck in that play pretty easily. 1175 up to the top of this. Again, it's kind of in no man's land right there. Indicators, they all look good. They're all moving up. only 2.5 million float, so extremely tiny. Average volume under 500,000. That's a little bit closer. Again, I don't know what I'd be expecting out of this play, but if we can get up over maybe the 1150 area, be looking much better. Again, the indicators all look good, so I'll go ahead and put it on the list. So a huge move on Friday. This is one, can put it on the list and see. It looks like it is a fairly new ticker. We don't have a full chart. But with that huge of a move, you know, there's chance for some money to be made. Yeah, volume was terrible. Yeah, I'm gonna remove this one from the list. That's not much. You can see all of these nasty candlesticks on the daily chart, these huge top wicks. That creates bag holders, the people that are just waiting for this to hit back to their price to get out. This one up over 13 from 1084 to 13 and then back to 1084. That's something that you don't want to get stuck in. Okay, we got a descending wedge right here. Huge volume on Friday. 4.27 million on Friday. Rest of these days are 200,000 to 300,000, up to 500,000, 700,000. So again, very thinly traded. Average volume, yeah, 300,000. It's just not something I'd be interested in. Okay, BW here looks like we had a, and I saw this ticker on Friday, but I didn't see it till it was up in this area. So we had a break over this channel right here. You can see we had top and bottom break over this channel. Decent volume compared to what it normally has, but we have this top wick and the psychological resistance right at $8. So where it was at on Friday, by the time I saw it, it doesn't present a good risk to reward. So I'd want to see one of two things on this. It either pull back to maybe the 750 area, this purple line, or move over and close over this $8 mark. So either one of those two things happen and it can be a potential play. We've got our indicators moving up. MACD looks like it's about to cross. Stochastic's already crossed. 72 million float. Average volume 1.38 million. So we know it's a liquid stock. Everything looks good. Again, looking for one or two things to happen on that. We've got a small gap on this one, 228, 207, about a 20-cent gap right there with a break over this 207 area. RSI coming out of oversold. You can see we've been on a downtrend for a while. Not much previous candlestick support. Trend line not supporting it. I definitely need to see more out of this. 80 million float, only 500,000 average. Again, little light for me. I don't see much there. Okay, this chart looks very choppy. Bunch of gap up, gap down, and for the most part pretty small candlesticks. We have this one large candlestick here. Let's see. Average volume 2.5 million. Okay. You can see it's been getting quite a bit of volume over since the beginning of March. So this month. Huge float on it. Yeah, I don't like the way this daily chart moves. Too many gaps and too many just small candlesticks. This chart kind of looks the same as the last one. It's an oil and gas ticker, not real fond of them. Did bounce off of this blue trend line right here. Indicator stochastics cross. RSI held the 50 line. Made a new high over this peak right here. Over 500 million float. Yeah, that's not going to move near fast enough. Got a break of this resistance right here. MACD crossing, stochastics crossed, RSI heading up. 2 million, over 200 million float. Again, huge float. I just don't think it's going to really has a large enough move in it. It's going to be a slow mover. Trucking company, 42 million float, average volume under 500,000. Again, not something that's my type of play. And again, I may mention a ticker and you may see it and like it, then, you know, good. It may fit your strategy. It just doesn't fit what I'm looking for. Another oil and gas choppy chart. Okay, so don't see any sort of support on this chart. I'm going to go out to the weekly chart. Yeah, we've closed. Monthly chart. I mean, it's closed below all candlestick support. So, I mean, right now you've got support at 172, a gap up to 235 area. So there's a healthy profit in there if it can fill this gap completely. You know, this presents a good, so from 187 to 172, about 15 cents. At a potential, you're looking at making about 40 cents. So this is definitely, but again, if it goes below the low of day from Thursday, there is no chart to support it. So this is a risky play, but as it sits right now, that's a good risk to reward. Average volumes up there, you don't have to worry about getting stuck. Indicators, again, we're coming off of from up around 5.50 to $1.87 over about a month period, a little over a month. I'd expect the indicators to be down. Could be a little double bottom off this RSI right here. Again, it's worth going on the list. Again, pretty light volume on Friday, just not a ton of momentum out there, and there's not a ton of follow through either. It's been a difficult swing market. Here's one, got a break on Thursday, move up on Friday, coming off of this double bottom right here. Here's one. We got cross, stochastics crossed a couple, or on Thursday, RSI heading up, 52 million float, 3.8 average volume. This is definitely worth watching. You can see it closed right under this resistance line right there on Friday. Had a gap up, pretty strong candlestick, long top wick. Would have preferred not to see that, which would have also caused a close over this line. Let's see, indicators moving up, 146 million float. It's a pretty large float. Shipping companies, at least ocean freight companies, they're typically day trade only for me, but this is a little bit higher float, so let's see, it usually doesn't move as strong with your other shippers like PXS and SHIP. Yeah, it's worth putting on there. Again, I wouldn't expect much from it being a shipper and higher float. Okay, be a double bottom here with this candlestick. Running back into resistance, what was support before. This thing is down from 11 bucks over the last maybe 7-8 months. $30 million float. Average volume too low, under 300,000. Okay, so here's one. You can see last 2 days had a couple long top wicks. That's gonna tell me that this is most likely a day trade only stock. You can see many other long top wicks, and that's bag holders being created. They buy in thinking it's moving up, everything is great, and then it sells off and you're left holding the bag. So it would be a day trade only, but you've got nice increase in volume the last 3 days, break of resistances. So this is definitely one. Tiny float on it, 11 million, almost 12 million. Average volume 672,000, so a little light, but again, not a it's over 500,000, so still need to be a little careful that you don't get stuck in it if it completely dries up. But again, worth the watch. Okay, this one was on the watch list last week. All indicators look good. Sold off a little bit on Friday. Let's see. Didn't quite fill the gap, but technically, if you look at this right here and these right here, the gap would have been filled on that. But again, had some nice movement last week, and we are at the bottom or near the bottom of this channel. So definitely one I'm going to go ahead and put on the list again this week. Already familiar with it. I traded it a couple times last week. So definitely worth the watch again. float's too big. So looking at, you can see from this candlestick right here, some resistance. We ran about into it on Friday. Would have been looking for a close over this 1110 area. But float's too large for me. Right in the middle of this channel, actually closer to the top, broke a resistance on Friday. Average volume 148,000. $17.50 break of resistance on this. Again, for the most part, pretty small candlesticks, not much. Then we got two pretty big ones back-to-back days. 360 million float. It's way too large. This was part of the Chinese educational run from Friday. There were many tickers that took off. So this thing, was watching it a couple weeks ago, played it a couple times, but this is a gnarly candlestick right here. From 1524 up over 20 and then back right down. So there's some potential. Anytime you have movements like that, there's potential to make money on it. Yes, 6 million float. Average volume is 3.87 million, but that's largely due to this right here. I mean, you can see very few volume bar. You can't even see them for the most part. And again, see these top wicks? You see very small bottom wicks, but look at all, even here, top wick, top right here. I mean, they're all over. This one right here might be about the largest bottom wick you get, but even up to here, huge top wick. Even this one right here. So very dangerous, but there's this is one of the NFT stocks. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the list just so I can have it charted come tomorrow, see what happens. You know, it would definitely be a day trade, and I don't even see taking a trade on it, but if it presents itself, why not? Okay, so that's going to be all of the breakout tickers that I'm looking at, momentum tickers. The next thing I want to look at, again, NFTs are still getting, that's where majority of the volume for small caps has been over the past week and a half. So I want to look for some tickers that may have NFT news, you know, that their business fits and could possibly have NFT news come out. So I want to look at entertainment. See what we can have. You can see already some tickers that have been played as NFT plays. The CIDM was a potential, and again, no news ever came out. We just played the hype on it, made some money. But if they do come out with news, then, you know, that's, we've seen that NFT news brings anywhere between 50 and 300% moves in just a day or two. So CSCW, that's another one we've played. Disney. So Disney, I'm not going to necessarily put it on the watch list, but this is one that I would not be surprised at all if they had something come out. Now, this is pure speculation. It's not based on anything, but they have tons and tons of content, and that's what you need to have an NFT is content. So that's one that wouldn't surprise me at all if they had news come out. This chart looks a little choppy. Caught my attention this right here, but it's not clear enough for me. Okay, so this chart catches my eyes. You can see up 78 from 78, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in a week went from $78 down to a low of $34.60, closed around $41.90. So anytime I see a major sell-off like that, that automatically gets my attention. Definitely going to put this on the watch list so I can go in and do some research and see what caused it, if something actually changed with the company, or if this is, I mean, this could have been a huge sell-off by a large stakeholder, and then it just caused a ripple effect and caused it to sell off when there was no change to the business itself. So it's definitely something. I mean, we go from overbought to oversold in 5 days. Again, not really concerned with the float on this because I'm simply looking for a little bit of recovery on this. Yeah, and all this, I mean, 10 million, we know it's heavily traded. Discovery, so I know they have a few tickers, so I'm sure those will show up. So this is the same thing, Discovery. Don't know what the difference, I'm sure it's voting rights or something is the difference between this one and the A, but the chart is the same. Okay, of course they had the NFT news last week. Huge move. Here's another one that was rumored as a possible NFT play. So you can see broke up above this resistance. It is now pulled back and it is checking this resistance. If we bounce from here, that's a pretty bullish sign. So I would want to see this ticker hold the 250 line. If it doesn't, it's not really a play. If it does, we could definitely see some more upside. Again, the speculation with the NFT potential, we'll see. The NFTs may not do anything this week, but that's the past week and a half. That's about all we've seen with volume. So until something else reveals itself, then that's what we're going to be looking at. Again, huge float. Don't really like that. But traded it a couple times and it doesn't trade as heavy as that float would make it seem. So I'm fine with the float on this one. Again, huge average volume. It's worth going on the list. IMAX, I'm not sure if they own any content for NFT. Okay, this chart's very high priced. bouncing right off of this. I'd like to see a confirmation candlestick. Yeah, I don't like it. So here's one. We got this blue trend line right here. You can see we bounced off of it the last 2 days. We've also got the psychological support of 500 right here. It's definitely worth a watch. Again, higher price, share or the float's not really a concern. I know it's liquid. This is intriguing. If nothing else, it presents a good risk to reward. This would be a descending triangle that's formed right here, but I would probably call it more of a descending channel, really. But we've got the overall channel, so I'm looking at this $500 up to $590, and we're sitting right on 500. So this is a good risk to reward. Again, if this bottom line breaks, be out. You may give it down to 480, but that's about where I'd have a stop loss if I entered this. Again, Netflix, tons of content. Wouldn't be surprised. I mean, an NFT would be right up their alley. Okay, so this is another one, Viacom CBS. Again, from $100 to $48, a low of 40, what, 39.81. That gets my attention. Float doesn't matter. Double top on this. This looks to be heading down. They would have, WWE would have content also. 46 million float. If this thing pulls back down around $50 mark, or somehow can break through about 58, but where it sits right now, it's just not much of a play. It's closer to resistance than it is support. Okay, let's check this out. So we had moved from $18 down to about 13. Indicators, of course, are going to be bad. We did get across on the stochastics. 51 million float, only 400,000 average volume. It's pretty low. This looks more like a consolidation for another leg down, but we can see we had a green candlestick, this hammer candlestick, so I would definitely need a confirmation candlestick to see. This line could also be redrawn from here to right there. You see it'd still be underneath that resistance right there, so need to get back above that. Okay, so that's all the entertainment or people that would have content. I'm sure there are more out there, other ways that, or other companies that are classified as something else, but that's all I want to look at today. So the last scan I want to run is like we saw with the Discovery and VIAC. I want to see any tickers that are down 30% on the week. This thing's from round 6, crossed over 6 a couple times down to 364. 4 million float, very tiny. Yeah, average volume 2.58. Only did 263,000 shares on Friday. That's very strange that has an average volume of 2.58. And that's all it did. We might have a skewed number, especially because if it does an average volume of 2.58 million, that's over half of the float it averages, and I think that's off. Either the float's off or the average volume is off. But again, no signs of recovery. I don't see anything on the chart. So here's one. Pulled back down. This purple line, double bottom, 853. Looks like it could be finding support right here. Indicators, of course, not showing anything. We haven't even had a green candlestick. There's no information on the float. Average volume under 500,000. No. Okay. So we had a huge run up, pulled back to around this $15 area. We got a green candlestick. We got a hammer candlestick. Looks like it is holding this 50 MA right here. So this is one I'm going to go ahead and put on the list. See if it's actually found support. Again, if you're entering anywhere in here, your support's not down. You've got from this candlestick $15.78 and then again around $15. 100 million float. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put it, and I believe I've seen this ticker linked to Bitcoin somehow. Not exactly sure. Again, I look at the charts. I'll catch news stories briefly, but I'm not really concerned. Okay, CODX. Nice size float. A little over 25 million. 1.5 million. So you can see anytime it comes down around this area, the 2 times that it has, we've got some bounces. So this is definitely one. It may not be ready. I don't know if it'll even be ready next week, but this is definitely one that I'm watching. Again, it's sitting right on support, maybe even right below support, but I would have around 920 to 930 area is where I would have support. So you're sitting right above it. The risk to reward again is pretty small there. So again, I'd like to see some upward momentum, a green candlestick on the daily first, but if it does turn, there's plenty of, even if it moves up, if you were to draw a line from here, you're looking at probably around $12 from the 970 area. Okay, here's the 2 discoveries we already had. Eyes, I think that was just a big pump and dump. I think that's pretty much done. FREQ, I looked at this a little bit. they failed a clinical trial, and from what it looks like, they don't have too much in their pipeline right now. So not really interested in that. Here's one. Who knows where the bottom is on this? I mean, there you'd have to see something. It'd have to show me something. I've played this throughout here, but I haven't played it in quite some time, but I don't see anything on the chart. Okay, so here's one from $29 down to $17 and actually a low of $14.60. Again, chart alone, it gives up over 50% at one point. I'm gonna have it on a watch list. Float doesn't matter. None of that matters. Anytime something loses over 50%, it's got my attention. Okay. So here's one. We've got a green candlestick, a hammer candlestick, and we're sitting right on support. So I like this chart. Good risk to reward. Indicators, again, not much. We know that we're looking at things that are down 30% on the week. It's going to be hard to see anything other than the indicators pointing straight down. Yeah, don't see anything really in the news other than a bunch of lawyers trying to sue companies, which you see for just about every publicly traded company. Okay, so we got a little green candlestick, small. I think this continues falling. If this was sitting on some sort of support, maybe, but you can see it gave one green candlestick here and then another big red one. And then I would think this continues down. Under 1 million float, so that's a tiny, tiny float. We already have this one on the list from the last one. Look at this. So so here's another one I'm going to put on the list from $32 down to almost $16.31. So about 50% in 2 days. Got a green candlestick here. This definitely could be a bounce. We got this support line right there. So this is definitely going on the list. Alright, so that is it. That is all of the scans I wanted to run for this weekend. So now I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to take this list and go in and do a little bit more charting on them. I can look up some news events, see what happened, especially on the ones that had large drops on them, see if it's something that I think is going to continue down or should give a bounce. But again, the news often is there to trick you, so that's why I mostly try to stick to the charts and just play what the chart is telling me to play. I will have these posted in text at the end of this video so you can get the list for yourself, go through, see what you like, see what you don't like. Hopefully you can use that to make some money. And if nothing else, you saw how I go through my scanning process, what I'm thinking about whenever I'm looking at these charts, looking at different opportunities, whether it's a breakout or a bounce off support. So hopefully you'll benefit from this video in some way. Well, thanks for joining. Good luck and stay green.